Welcome, everybody, to Cinema Royale. I am Travis Hobson of PunchdrunkCritics.com. And on this week's show, we are talking Avatar, The Way of Water. We've only been waiting 13 years for this, Chris. As you can see, this is my man, Chris Bumbray of JoeBull.com. We're here to talk about this movie. We've been sitting here like the whole time just waiting for 13 years. Like, we've just been sitting here waiting for it. And now it's here. So the only thing that's happened is that we've each gotten older.
Oh, sure have. Yeah, well, I have.
Your beard's got gray in it now.
Have I known you for 13 years? We met at Sundance like 10 years ago or something like that, though. It's been a while.
Yeah, man. It's true. But it's crazy when I think about how long it's been since that first movie.
Yeah.
And I think for like a lot of people,
I never thought it would happen, to be honest, because it was getting delayed.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same. Didn't think it would ever really happen. But also, I think like a lot of people, I didn't really like watch it a bunch of times in that time, and I had to like revisit it when they re-released it a few months ago here. They re-released it in IMAX, and I went back and watched it, and I was like, well, shit, I actually really like this.
Yeah, it's weird because it felt like it had no pop culture footprint, like it was like, go to Comic-Con and see people dressing up as the Na'vi, like it's but then again, it was like the biggest movie of all time when it came out. Like, it was huge. It was this weird thing. And then my thought was like, is it gonna have an audience for the sequel? And I think that, like, we're gonna get into it, but I think the reason it'll be successful is because the movie is just really good.
Yeah,
I think if it was okay, it would be a huge flop.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. It's like I watched it and I was like, wow, there's a lot more to this than I remember. The movie looks stunning. Like, still looks amazing. Like, you go back and watch it, and I was like, I think I let other people's sourness on it kind of like infect me a little bit.
What made me mad about the original was just that the story, I felt, had been done so many times, and I was kind of annoyed. Like, because it's Dances with Wolves. It's A Man Called Horse. It's The Last Samurai.
I knew we were going to say the same thing.
That's why I liked the sequel more, though, because I feel like we never got a Dances with Wolves 2, where John Dunbar and stands with a fist when they had their family. We never got that follow up. And so that was, and there was never a Last Samurai 2. So I think that's what makes it fresh, because we've never gotten the second chapter, and I think that's what made the movie for me. That's what made it really good.
Yeah, so this sequel, it takes place 10 years later, and we still got Jake Sully.
Well, it's more than 10 years later. It's like 15 or 20 years later.
I believe it's 10.
I think it's much more than that, because his sons.
Well, they say it's 10, but it feels like it does seem like it's more, because they have
his sons are adults, like, especially his old
son is a teen, basically, like an older teen. It seems like
it could be that the Na'vi just age differently, though.
That's possible too. Who knows? Who the hell knows? But basically, we've gone forward some years, but they're still under attack by the sky people, the humans. We're not going to give away everything that's going on with the humans, but basically, the fight has never truly ended. The first movie seemed like it was coming to a close, but it really wasn't. They've been fighting over the course of those many years, and this time, Jake and his family are forced to flee the Forest clan and take refuge with the Reef clan, which means a whole new way of life, adapting to water. And learning new cultures, everything. Learning the way of water. The way of water. It sounds like some Bruce Lee shit.
Actually. Yeah,
the way of water. But the fight continues, and we learn more about the humans and what their mission is on Pandora. We see Jake and his family kind of, and his children, which is actually kind of a mixed race, mixed family, because they have one daughter who's mixed. They kind of have an adopted son, Spider,
and an adopted daughter as well. That's the thing. That's what's interesting about the movie.
Yeah.
I find is, without giving too much away, is that they do have a mixed family. They have two natural kids who have human DNA in them, and then they have two adopted kids. One of the adopted kids is human. One of the adopted kids is Na'vi, and it's very clear that they love the Na'vi much more than they love the human. Which I think,
at least it's clear that with one parent.
Yeah, and it's kind of, and
With
that's an
one parent.
interesting dynamic too. It's like,
Yeah.
it tells about you love the child that looks more like you in some ways. Like it's kind of heady subject matter
Yeah.
that they're tackling in
Yeah,
that.
it's something that we see in life a lot when you have like stepchildren and things like that. You have these families that come together, and you have one parent who treats his own children better than he treats the other children who come into the family. But
Well, and I think
that's
also Zoe Saldana's character is prejudiced against humans, and apparently that's something they're going to tackle as the series goes on. Apparently they're going to go to Earth at some point, which would be kind of fascinating. Sounds a little like Escape from the Planet of the Apes a little bit, but it's kind of interesting.
I hope we get that far into the franchise actually.
We'll
But
see. I don't know. I mean, the opening night was good, but I mean, it's not massive. But
I'm already hearing from friends who are like, like every single friend I know is going to see it.
yeah,
I'm also hearing from people who've already seen it and are going to go back. Like
that's
I'm
going to
going
be the
back.
key, though. Are you going to get the return business? Because his movies are always like that. They open soft, and then they have this consistency. Like
Yeah,
that was what Titanic was like. That was what Avatar was like. So it'll be return business that will.
Avatar was in theaters for damn near a year. I mean, it
Yeah,
was
it sure was. So was Titanic. I remember Titanic. Every movie that came out was flopping because nothing could compete with it at the box office. I remember U.S. Marshals tanking. I
sorry.
remember
Looking around for
Fall.
my cat, who I know is out here doing something when he's not
He's
supposed
gonna leap in through
to.
the
I heard him walk behind me, and now I can't spot him. So I'm like, oh shit. Anyway,
But yeah,
um,
I remember U.S. Marshals flopped, Fallen flopped, Deep Rising flopped. All these movies were coming out, and they were that it was finally knocked out from number one by Lost in Space. I remember that.
yeah. The thing that I really love about this movie the most, I think, is that it it follows the children more than anything else. And
Yeah,
you have a whole big middle section of the film that is just like one big coming of age story, where you have the one son who's like the warrior and the protector, really takes after his father. You got the one son who's like the one who can't get anything right, and the daughter who's kind of finding her way, and then another
these are
kind
the
of
tropes, like really common tropes that you would see in a lot of movies. But I
right.
think I
This is
think they
Cameron
work.
does. Yeah, Cameron. This is what Cameron does. The thing I love about Cameron is I don't find any of his movies to be especially complicated.
No,
For all of the technological breakthroughs that he brings to every single movie, including this one, which looks. I mean, I caught myself holding my breath in some of the underwater scenes here. I hate deep water. I hate being underwater. I don't like it. I felt myself holding my breath because it just looks and feels like you're in there so much. It's insane how much this looks better than the original, which looked great too, and still looks great.
it's really realistic looking, and I remember like it was almost overwhelming because we saw it on an amazing screen too, in like Dolby Cinema in New
The higher
York.
frame rate, right?
Yeah, and I remember walking out of the theater to go to the bathroom at one point because it's long, and being like, "Whoa!" Like it was just like being back in the real world all of a
Yeah.
sudden. But it was one of those things like the CGI in the movie is so incredible. Like the effects work, like it's beyond anything we've ever seen. Like I'm reading some reviews that are complaining about dodgy CGI, and it's like, what the fuck movie were you watching? Like it doesn't make any sense. And
No.
that's just people nitpicking because they're always going to nitpick. Yeah, I mean, I liked what James Cameron said about Marvel. It's like it's not even close to the same. Like the CGI, it's not even close.
And it's not, and it really isn't.
Like
Uh,
he's pushed the envelope once again with this movie in a way that like I don't think anybody's going to be able to follow him because I don't think anybody takes the time that he does to get it right. Nobody does that.
yeah, there's one thing I love about Cameron. He puts himself out there when he makes these movies, man. He takes the time, he spends the money, he does everything he needs to, and he gets movies like this that are probably going to make $1 billion.
Mm,
But he doesn't just he doesn't make a lot of movies. He doesn't
no.
do it. So when he does make something, it's an event. And these Avatar movies have become an event, especially now. And I think if they're going to come out every couple of years or whatever it is that these are supposed to be coming out, they're going to be events every time they come out. Uh,
I hope it performs the way they need it to perform though, because I think it's a great movie, and I think that, I am disappointed because I feel that like a lot of
get
our
down, get down. Oh my God, he's not listening to me. Get down. Thank you.
being
That's
bad.
ridiculous. See, that's the guy I should have to do it.
Yeah.
He knows my back is turned.
Mine
Uh,
is likes to swap Laura when she walks by, just with his paw.
but he did that to me yesterday, and I nearly threw him across the room. He needed to get his claws.
He never does that to me. That's the thing. He comes and he sleeps on my legs
No,
and
but
stuff.
I love the way this movie follows the younger generation because, look, if this thing's going to go for 5 movies, there's going to be a passing of the torch.
There were parts of the movie that kind of made me laugh though a little bit, like when one Navi calls the other Navi bitch. Like I thought it was like, yeah, bitch, this is the way it works in the water, bitch.
I know,
Or
right?
or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
or like the shot of like the water Navi girl, is supposed to be hot, and they're like, oof. I kept waiting for somebody in the theater to go,
You're like,
damn.
she came out of the water like Halle Berry and die
Yeah,
another day. She just
yeah, like I kept waiting for somebody to go, ooh. Like that was kind of fun, but it was but I like that stuff though. And it's like, he does, his movies are really simple, but also like, I was late to it, right? You and I were both like 20 minutes late to this movie,
Yeah.
and we were able to jump in right away. Like it's not something that's super complicated. And I like that sometimes. And I think the last hour of this movie is amazing. Like it's one of the best final acts of a movie I've seen in a really long time.
It's
Like it was
incredible.
nail biting. I didn't know who was going to live and who was going to die. I was totally invested in the
That's the
characters.
thing. That's the thing. I feel like we're more invested in the characters in this movie, and maybe it's
Mhm.
because the movie doesn't follow the same kind of familiar path as the first one does. But I
Yeah,
was totally invested in every single character.
me
I
too.
despise the humans. Like I
Oh
despise
yeah. Oh God. Yeah, they're evil,
the
especially the
ways.
one that's like the whaler. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
that guy was
yeah.
terrible.
Like these guys, like I hated them in the first movie too, and I hate them in this one. I hate them more than like almost any other villain in any other movie. And like I'm a guy who usually roots for bad guys in most
Mhm.
movies. I hate the humans in this movie. But there's also some interesting developments. And like I said, I'm not going to give away like plot points across certain characters, but there are also developments with some of them, or at least one of them, that makes you like you see like a future where his character is going to evolve and kind of grow and maybe perhaps become
Yeah,
different.
I mean, I thought Stephen Lang's Quaritch, is that the name of the character? He was my favorite character in the movie. Like, and he was the one that I was the most invested in. I think part of that is Stephen Lang's. I think Stephen Lang's a great actor, but he was kind of his arc was fascinating, and the way that it's going, I really liked. And I loved the character of Spider. I thought he was great too.
I think that's a star making role for Jack
Yeah.
Chance, who plays that. He's coming up. He's going to be in something else coming up soon too. I can't think what it was.
I mean, I could see why though, because he is really good in it, and you get to see his face. Unlike the other kids are great too, but you actually get to see him, so it's a little bit more. He's more recognizable, I think.
I'm fascinated by what his arc is going to be over the
Yeah,
next.
for sure. I mean, they're setting up a really good one, and it's like an interesting 3-dimensional arc. I don't know, but I liked everybody though. I thought Worthington was great, and then Zoe Saldana though had some really good material this movie because they make her, the shading that they give her, they make her not always likable. Like she does
Yeah.
some highly questionable stuff in the last act, and I thought that was interesting that they trust the audience enough to know that like they're not going to be turned off right away, and that there's going to be some.
I don't feel like these movies. I think we expect it. Like I go into the movies like this thinking they're all going to follow like the Star Wars path. And I feel like these movies with this one in particular, I'm not sure where they're all going to go, and
Well, I mean, they
I don't
have.
exactly know where each character's direction is going to lead either.
Well, they embrace kind of the gray area, I mean, I think the Star Wars movies, when you see them, all the characters are either good or they're bad, or they're bad and they become good. But then you rarely have one go past like a certain point where they do something that's quote unquote unforgivable. And I think that Saldana's character in this like gets into some very dark territory, and it's like, whoa, what
Yeah,
the fuck? And it's kind of and I thought that was interesting that they did that. But I also like the fact that people die in these movies and they stay dead, and that's something I hate about Marvel, is that you just, everybody's always going to come back, oh, it's always this. Yeah. Even Thor Love and Thunder, she dies of cancer, and then at the end it's like, oh, she's not actually dead, she's in this afterlife, they'll be back, there's a way back.
Quicksilver's not back.
I mean, because the actor's
Uncle Ben's not back.
because the actor's not back. He could come back at some point. They even brought him back some kind of with the other actor.
I know. But anyway,
If
yeah.
Downey Jr. said one day, I want to play Iron Man again, they would put him back like that.
Yeah, Yeah, of course. They would just reach into another dimension and bring in
Yeah,
another Tony Stark.
the
I
evil
mean,
one without the goatee.
yeah, of course. But no, man, I'm really excited to see this movie again. I
Me
think
too.
the 13 years has been worth the wait. I don't know why it seems like, and maybe as I'm sure it's not just me, but I feel like we bet against James Cameron and we should come up short.
We
Like we
do.
always.
My only thing about this movie though is that like I'm gonna have a hard time picking a good screen to see it on because I don't know how it is where you are, but in Montreal, a lot of our screens are really shitty because they just everybody's like saving money these days and the lamps aren't right. And I know that this movie, if I want to see it good, I'm gonna have to see it on an IMAX screen. It's because it's the only way that it's gonna look presentable, you know. And it's there are gonna be so many versions of this movie that are gonna be out there that are gonna look like shit. And it's gonna be one of those things. If you don't see it the way it was intended to be seen, you're not gonna like it as much.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to see it on the Smithsonian IMAX.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what you need to do, right? Like we have a really nice IMAX theater here in the Old Port, and if they show it there, I'm gonna go see it there because it'll be
Yeah.
amazing looking.
Yeah, definitely worth it. It's
Yeah.
funny because the Smithsonian IMAX, like all the showings were sold out. So it's like I
Mhm.
just got the last one on Sunday. So it's just like,
Yeah.
it's like I guess like, hey guys, I got to jump on this because it's going to be gone in probably like 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
I mean, people were really excited to go see it, especially on that screen, which is the biggest one
Yeah.
in town. So Avatar: The Way of Water is in theaters now. I recommend everybody go check it out, and it sounds like my buddy Chris recommends that too.
Absolutely. 100%.
Chris, you got anything coming up you want to tell people about over at Joe Blow?
Not much. I mean, we're doing
Some super secret Chris Bumbray project.
a lot of Christmas stuff coming up. I mean, the video that you narrated for Lethal Weapon is coming up next week, of course. We've got
Christmas vacation one went up.
Christmas Vacation too. Yeah, those are both coming out next week. So yeah, make sure to invoice for them.
I
And
was,
then
I was, I
we
was
got
looking on the site the other day, and like under the most popular videos, most popular stories right now, they're all videos of mine. All stories.
oh really?
With my voice on them. Just
I mean,
you know,
yeah, I mean,
let Burge know about that. It's like, hey, every time this guy does something, it becomes popular.
I update that widget myself.
All right.
I'm the one who decides what the most popular is. Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway,
But it's still, hey, they're doing fine. The views are good. But yeah, no, it's yeah, we got a lot of Christmas stuff coming up. I can't believe that it's only a week away. Funny enough.
I know what I was going to ask you about. Did you see I opened the that martial arts channel box that they sent me?
Yeah, was anything good? It didn't look great.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great, but I had never even heard of that channel before.
Yeah, it's Well Go USA, I think.
I figured it was because Wellgo and I are in communication all the time.
They've got some good stuff on there. I was looking at the channel.
Oh, yeah. There's something
We
else
only
that
just
sent us the other day that I'm gonna get one of our other writers to cover, but
I don't think we get that here in Canada though. Like we just got Pluto the other day, and it's still like very limited the amount of stuff. But I've just been watching Baywatch like a nonstop. But oh man, these new Baywatches though, like I used to love that show, but like they remastered them, but they changed all the music, and it's so bad. Like the music that they put in is so terrible. There's an episode where Mitch is like fantasizing about what his life would have been like as a rock star, and they played Looking for Freedom, like the whole music video, but then they dubbed in like some fucking random song that just came out, and it's not even, they couldn't even get the rights to David Hasselhoff's music, and it was so pathetic.
Yeah, so you're up there in Canada. One of my favorite all-time shows is a Canadian-based shows. Once a Thief.
Oh God, Once a Thief. Yeah. Ivan Sergey.
That was where I was first introduced to Sandrine Holt.
Sandrine Holt and Ivan Sergey. Sure.
It was one of my all-time top shelf babes.
Oh, what did I just see her in? She was in
She still acts a lot. She's around.
No, she was just in a movie. Oh, she was on Better Call Saul. She had an arc on Better Call Saul.
She's on some Showtime series too. She's still around. In fact, she's just joined a pretty big movie, like just that's coming out. Sandrine Holt's amazing, but Once a Thief,
looks really good.
I can't remember what channel it was I used to watch it on. I think it was on Showtime.
Like that was a remake of John Woo did the pilot, and it was one of his movies, and it was there were a bunch of shows that got like Counter-Strike with Simon McCorkindale. I remember it was like Mission Impossible Canadian style. So the budget was much lower. The missions weren't quite as elaborate,
Yeah.
Most of the missions happened in Ottawa.
I was
Occasionally we get to Toronto. Yeah,
Oh
that
my
was the best.
god, dude! I used to love me some Once a Thief, man. Whew.
Yeah, that's a thief. I never super got into Once a Thief, but I used to watch a lot of those shows. Like there was this one Viper with Michael Dudikoff. I used to watch that show and all these because they were just on all the time. So we have to play 30% Canadian content here.
This
So
sounds like the Canadian equivalent of our like USA Network shows that would be on like Silk Stockings and
that's a Canadian show. That's the thing. Most of the USA Network programming was stuff that they bought from Canada that was produced cheap and that would fill out the schedule. It's still that still happens. Like Flashpoint is a Canadian.
right, yeah.
You know, they do that. They're cheap because you could do the Canadian stuff
I
really
watched
cheaply.
more than my share of those shows. 'Cause I know I've seen every single episode of Silk Stockings. So
Yeah, me too. I like that show for obvious reasons.
yeah, I know, right? Anyway,
That Red Shoe Diaries was another good one.
oh yeah, oh
I
yeah.
want to do a Gone but Not Forgotten on it, but it's like it's for sure going to get flagged for content. So
A Gone but Not Forgotten for Silk Stockings or Catch or Once a Thief though would be fun.
I could see a Silk Stockings one doing pretty well.
Yeah. Silk Stockings, I think would do really well. That would be fun. I'd love to voice that. All right. Anyway, we've gone off on a tangent. I'm not even talking about Avatar anymore. Thanks everybody for tuning in to Cinema Royale. I'm Travis Hobson. I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.